boundary, or I'm just like, I think why we're interested in this program is that it fills a bit of a gap that we have locally. There seems to be a number of programs for rural landowners, but not necessarily for urban landowners.
Yep, for sure. That is the majority of who is purchasing these trees is urban homeowners. We do sometimes, it's kind of nice because people will contact us and say, you know, I'd like 5 for my property. I have a larger property. And that's when we can connect them with one of the programs that is more meant for like rural, larger landowners. But definitely this works for urban homeowners.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions from council, then I'd like to thank you very much, Emily, for coming in and explaining this to us. So to council now, then we have a resolution to receive the presentation from Upper Thames River Conservation Authority regarding the tree power plant for information. Someone to move that? Councillor Heeman, seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? Motion's carried. So we'll move on now to the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may require discussion, but no specific action on the part of council. Consent items are typically received for information in one motion, although council members may request that one or more items be removed for further action. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on April 24th and the special meeting held on April 25th, as well as to receive consent agenda items 6.3 through 6.9 as information. Councillor Lockie and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Smybert. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So now we have some reports of departments. First is from our acting fire chief with respect to fire prevention and our fire safety program.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have one report for council's consideration this evening. The purpose is to renew for a 3-year term the fire prevention service agreement with the municipality of Middlesex Centre. So just a little bit of background for council. In the fall of 2019, the County of Middlesex withdrew the delivery of fire prevention and investigative services that were currently being utilized at that time by the lower tier municipalities. And then Thames Centre needed a way to fill that gap. So they reached out to Middlesex Centre, and in 2020, Middlesex Centre did agree to provide fire prevention and fire safety services to Thames Centre by way of a service agreement. This agreement has expired on May the 1st, and currently we are in need of that service. The specific duties that were contracted for a fire prevention officer include conducting fire prevention inspections, overall program maintenance, fire safety training, supporting public education programming, consulting on fire specific plans, and any type of courtroom or legal intervention. So those are some of the services that are being provided through the existing agreement. And Middlesex Centre also provides the same FPO services to North Middlesex as well. So the current service agreement, as I said, has expired, and in negotiating a renewal, I was advised by Middlesex Centre Fire Chief that the current FPO that was on staff at the time resigned as of April 28th. So Chief Toth indicated that he has undertaken a recruitment process for a new FPO and anticipates that that will be filled by the end of May. In the interim, the chief has also indicated that he's prepared to fulfill the FPO services to Thames Centre to make sure that any of our outstanding files or any concerns are dealt with appropriately. And then we would be looking at renewing this contract with some slightly different terms. And it would be to remove the fire investigations from the program, as it puts a significant strain on the FPO's work-life balance due to being on call 24/7, 365. So the attached service agreement that was submitted to council for consideration no longer includes those investigative services. However, Chief Toth has also agreed to help manage this issue, particularly in temporary basis. So the long-term strategy is that we will look to the new fire chief once they're recruited to determine whether or not anybody in-house is able to provide those investigative services, or we may end up, if necessary, providing some training to in-house staff or possibly even contracting those services to another outside provider. But that final decision won't be made until the new fire chief has been recruited, hopefully in the next couple of months. In the interim, though, we do need these services, and Middlesex Center is doing a good job to be able to provide us with fire prevention and fire safety program. So there is a recommendation that's before council this evening to approve the attached service agreement and authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute the agreement for the 3-year term.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Okay. So may we have a mover and a seconder for the recommended motion as outlined in the report? Deputy Mayor Smyber and seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We'll move on now to the Drinking Water Quality Management Standard Operational Plan Re-endorsement. Director of Public Works.
Okay, thank you, Worship. Before you is PW-ES 006-23 Drinking Water Quality Management Standard Operational Plan Re-endorsement. This report is to request council's review and re-endorsement of the Thames Center Drinking Water Quality Management Standard, or DWQMS Operational Plan. Justice Dennis O'Connor, in part 2 of the report of the Washington Inquiry, recommended the adoption of quality management for municipal drinking water systems. It was also recommended that a quality management standard specifically designed for drinking water systems be developed and implemented in Ontario, thus leading to the creation of the DWQMS or the standard. The DWQMS contains elements of both the ISO 9001 standard with respect to management systems and the hazard analysis and critical control points standard with respect to product safety. There are 21 elements in a DWQMS. Element number 3 is titled Commitment and Endorsement, and it requires the operational plan contain a written endorsement of its contents by top management and the owner. This is normally adopted every 4 years, corresponding with the change of council. A list of revisions made from the previous endorsed plan can be found on page 40 of this plan. These changes are all minor in nature, comprising of name and title changes, as well as sampling and equipment updates since the previous endorsement in March 2019. If I have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, any questions? Deputy Mayor Smyber.
Just had one for the director. Is this plan then, once it's approved by council, posted on the website for review?
It's posted on the website. Yes, correct.
Thank you.
And there's a copy at the municipal office as well.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I will ask council for a mover and a seconder on the recommended motion as outlined in report PW-ES 006-23 as appended to the agenda. Councillor Heeman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Smyber. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Then I guess you're on again, Jared, for the Blue Box transition contract. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Worship. Report PW-ES 007-23 Blue Box Transition Contract is a recommendation to council to enter into an agreement with Circular Materials Ontario, or CMO, for the provision of blue box material collection and processing effective until December 31st, 2025. Blue Box transition from the existing shared responsibility model to a producer-led responsibility responsibility model, often referred to as full or extended producer responsibility, will begin in London and area starting July 1st, and then in Thames Center on July 16th, 2023. Currently, producers pay approximately 50% of the cost for our recycling program. In the future, this amount will be over 90% of the cost of the existing program. This will help reduce the amount of materials going to the landfill and increase the amount of recycling that occurs. Beginning September 2023 to the end of 2025, the municipality will continue to provide curbside recycling services as it is currently under the contract with Miller Waste Systems. But residents will continue to see the same items collected in blue boxes with the same collection, weekly, summer, bi-weekly, winter schedule. The municipality will submit monthly invoices and receive monthly payments from CMO for continuing to provide this service. Beginning in January 2026, CMO will be fully responsible for operating and financing the Blue Box program in all Ontario municipalities. Between 2023 and 2026, CMO will work with the municipality to make sure residents are aware of any changes to their services. Program changes are only permitted once the producer have complete control over the programs across Ontario beginning January 1st, 2026. The master service agreement attached here is intended to cover all actual costs related to the Blue Box recycling program, including collection, promotion, and education based on the number of stops within the municipality. Once executed, and as the program continues, adjustments or change orders in the agreement are expected. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councillor Lucky.
Through your worship, through Director Craven, is there any potential that it could change anything with respect to the collection services?
Through your worship, like I said, they're mandated not to change anything. They have to keep their same program to the end of 2025. So you will see it'll be seamless. The word gets used a lot, seamless to the end of 2025.
Thanks.
Councillor Crockett.
Through your worship to Director Craven. I think this is a great program. Obviously, we are already utilizing it. But looking ahead, you and I kind of had a little chat on the possibility or feasibility of bringing in a compost system as well as kind of future talks of partnerships continue on. I was just wondering if you could comment on that a little bit.
Sure. Through your worship, the municipality have been thinking about this for years. Actually, when we wrote this current contract with our waste collectors, there was a provisional item for compost collection or organics collection, as they call it. Currently, municipalities over 100,000 with populations over 100,000 must have an organics program. That's why you see London working on theirs right now, which has been a long time trying to get off the ground. Our intention is wait for London to get theirs off the ground, get the infrastructure in place, have a look at that, look at costs per household, and then bring a report to council.
Thank you.
Well, that's good to know. Okay. Any other questions for council? Okay. Seeing none then, I'll ask council for a mover and a seconder on the recommended motion as outlined in report PWES-007-23 as appended to the agenda. Councillor Crockett, seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is CS 007-23, the Playroom Experiment Initiative. Director McDonald.
Good evening. Thank you. Through you, your worship, you have report number CS 007-23 regarding the Playroom Experiment and the municipality's opportunity to help expand the positive impact that this privately run program is providing to our community. I'm hoping that council had the opportunity to view the two attachments at the end of this report, as these were links to YouTube videos which provide a wealth of information about the Playroom Experiment. Dorchester resident Mike Primo is the driving force behind this initiative as the director of the Playroom Experiment, and he has joined us here this evening, along with several others involved with the program. This program continues to grow since starting last June, with lots of possibilities and potentials still ahead. To date, this program has had great support from the Dorchester Library, the Dorchester Terrace, along with strong volunteer support from the robotics class at Lord Dorchester Secondary School, which I'm guessing are some of the people here tonight. Beyond this, there is potential to partner with organizations such as Big Brothers and Big Sisters and with our municipal senior center, along with our summer playground program day camp. The purpose of this report is to seek council's approval for a free trial period agreement between Thames Center and the Playroom Experiment for the balance of this year. With the Playroom Experiment moving into the room at the Flight Exec Center named Smitty's Lounge. Since some of the events that the Playroom Experiment hosts require a larger space than Smitty's Lounge, the report also mentions use of the Blue Line Room when it is free and available. Unfortunately, the Blue Line Room is going to be largely used as soon as the renovation project begins at the Flight Exec Center, as a lot of the senior center activities will be displaced over to there for the time being. So at that point, besides that potential occasionally, Mike and I have also spoken about running some programs potentially in the lobby where we had the Sports Wall of Fame induction ceremony, although that's a bit more open and not very private and can be loud, but that is an option. And then fortunately, another opportunity has arisen since I submitted the report. So this part is not in the report. Mike had the opportunity to meet with Penny Wern, who is here as well with us tonight. Penny, as you all know, is an active volunteer with the Senior Center and with many other things. And she's involved with programs and activities run out of the art room, which is located on the second level off the walking track beside Smitty's Lounge. Our Senior Center coordinator, Karen Gress, and Penny are in support of the Playroom Experiment, making use of the art room for activities as well, when not being used by the Senior Center, as this room has ample tables for larger gaming events. The art room is currently not rented out to anyone, nor used by anyone other than the Senior Center related programs and events, while Smitty's Lounge is also very seldom rented out, maybe once or twice a year. As a result, providing Mike with free use of these spaces, including the lobby and the Blue Line Room when available, will have a very minimal impact on budgeted rental revenue for the year. This Playroom Experiment is an incredible initiative which offers inclusivity for one and all to enjoy various types of games together for free, benefiting children, families, adults, and seniors. This is definitely the type of project that aligns with the purpose of our Accessibility and Inclusivity Advisory Committee and something that strengthens community ties within Thames Center. Towards the end of this free trial period, we would report back to council with results and a recommendation on how to proceed beyond this year. The recommendations for this report are that report number CS 007-23 be received for information, and that the council direct staff to enter into a trial period agreement for the remainder of 2023 with Mike Primo to operate his community program, the Playroom Experiment, primarily out of Smitty's Lounge located in the Flight Exec Center as detailed in this report. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Thank you. Does council have any questions? Deputy Mayor Smyberg.
Not really a question as opposed to a comment. Mike, thank you so much for all of the great work that you're doing within the community. And I think it's great, Director McDonald, that you've been able to find a space for this. And I think Penny just wants to play more pinball in her spare time. I just think overall it's a great fit, and I wish everyone all the best, and look forward to the final report in terms of some of the successes and outcomes. Thank you.
Just one quick question, Mr. Primo. Any idea about sort of what it might cost going forward beyond the retirement, beyond the experimental stage or trial?
Thank you very much for having us here tonight too and considering this project. The support has been unwavering, and it's quite humbling, actually. And my family's been here less than a year, and we love this community. So we have always approached our investments as almost ad hoc. The opportunities and the latitude we are given kind of define the investments we can make. And we've always prided ourselves on the choice to approach fundraising based on recurring donorship. We've been doing it for almost 5 years now. Case in point, when we had an opportunity to build an inclusive space for an alternative learning classroom in Petrolia, we determined we'd like to invest $15,000 of gaming materials. We held the campaign for 8 months. And 93% of the donations came from outside of that community, including 7 countries worldwide: India, Wales, Australia, Mexico. And we learned that if we tell a great story and we marry it with visuals and accounts from those who have experienced the benefits of the playroom experiment, that we can provide what we need. And to date, we have relied on that recurring donorship, corporate sponsorship. We got heavily involved in service clubs, as Mayor Deputy Smybert would know, and yourself being part of IODE and the Val Griffiths chapter. So to be able to come in and tell these stories and have that kind of response has been very promising. Yes, there are other conversations we can have about how we fund, but there's a number of ways to approach it. And so we haven't defined foundationally how best to do that yet.
Okay, thank you very much. Well then, if there are no other questions, at this time, I'd like to ask council for a mover and a seconder on the recommended motion as outlined in report CS-007-23 as appended to the agenda. Deputy Mayor Smybert, seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? Motion carries. Thanks very much for your attendance. The next item on the agenda is CS-008, IPASS program, Director of Community Services and Facilities. We'll give you an opportunity for room to clear.
They stayed a bit longer than last time I did reports, so I'm thankful. Okay, thank you.
That in the indicator, do you think?
Still room for improvement, I guess, next time. I'll get my mom to come or something. You have before you report number CS-008-23 regarding the opportunity to bring the Act to Pass program to Thames Centre. This program was launched 10 years ago by the City of London in partnership with the program creators, organizers that envisioned this at University of Western Ontario. The purpose of this program is to provide kids with free physical activities at the age identified where kids often begin to withdraw from an active lifestyle, which is grade 5. Program organizers are looking to expand the Act to Pass across all of Middlesex, Elgin, and Oxford counties for the start of the upcoming 2023-24 school year. As a community partner, Thames Centre would dictate the municipally run programs and times that we would permit grade 5 students with Act to Pass membership cards to have free access. This would not only be offered to the grade 5 student, but also to one friend or family member or guardian. We have the flexibility to change and adjust these offerings as the year progresses to ensure a good fit with our programs. Besides the physical, social, and mental benefits of this program, this would also benefit Thames Centre in having a positive impact on the % of kids that stay active in team sports and other activities offered within and outside of Thames Centre. There would be minimal financial implications by becoming a part of this program, as the activities we would offer for free admission would be running regardless of whether or not children show up to take advantage, such as public swims, public skates, and drop-in sports in our gyms. And we would specify the number of free passes for any of the events to ensure enough space for other ages that normally attend the events so that they're not being forced out by children coming for free. The recommendations for this report are that report number CS-008-23 be received for information, and that staff be directed to become a community partner in the Act to Pass program as of July 2023. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, council, any questions? Councillor Lockie.
Through your worship, through Director McDonald, I'm just curious how this will roll out. Like, will they get like a membership card, or will they get just free passes for different activities?
A good question, thank you. Yes, so the program organizers, they take care of delivering membership cards to all the schools. So, and the membership starts in July, so it's kind of right after they finish grade 4. So at the end of grade 4, they get these passes that are good for that upcoming summer and the school year until the following. So it would go from July 2023 until June 2024.
Is there any concern that the participants may share their passes and we might lose revenue?
No, that hasn't been shared as a concern from the City of London to the state. So, but that is a risk, I suppose.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Okay, so in light of that, then I'll ask for a mover and a seconder on the recommended motion as outlined in report number CS-003-23 as appended to the agenda. Deputy Mayor Smyber and seconded by Councillor Lockie. All in favor? That motion carries. Thanks very much. Now, on to the proposed revised building fee for temporary structures. Mr. Bancroft.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So as outlined in my report, there's a need for a revised building fee for temporary structures compared to the current fee. Currently, for a temporary structure, which includes a tent, washroom trailer, or modular office trailer, the fee is 59 cents per square foot, or a minimum of $180. And by comparison, we have a request for a 40 by 60 tent to host a special event. And that building permit fee would be $1,416, which is rather significant considering for a permanent structure such as a farm drive shed building, the building permit fee is $278. So as noted in my report, a flat fee of $180 would be reasonable, recognizing that it reflects staff's time and related expenses required to process such requests. Also, in terms of financial implications for the municipality, there really are none, considering building services operate on a full cost recovery basis through essentially what is a user pay system. So it's my recommendation, Your Worship, that my report be received, and secondly, that a flat fee in the amount of $180 apply for building permit requests for temporary structures. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bancroft. Any questions from council? Comments? Councillor Lockie.
Through Your Worship, just a question, if say an applicant wanted, like say a structure, say a tent and temporary washrooms, would they pay 180 per request or just 180 for the total?
It's my understanding through Your Worship that it'd be $180 per request. So yeah, each 180.
Thanks.
Any other questions from Mr. Bancroft? No? All right, then. I will then again ask for a mover and a seconder for the recommended motion as outlined in report PDS-025-23 as appended to the agenda. A mover. Councillor Crockett, seconded by Councillor Lockie. All in favor? Carry. Introduction to community improvement plans, item 7.7 on your agenda. And I guess you're up again.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the purpose of my report is to introduce community improvement planning and also to seek direction from council for staff to prepare and undertake a request for proposals to qualified consultants to undertake a community improvement plan, or CIP for short, for the municipality. So just in terms of background, a CIP, it's a municipally approved document that implements a framework to assist with financial incentives for target areas regarding maintenance, rehabilitation, development, or redevelopment opportunities. CIPs, in terms of target areas, they can take a variety of forms. And it's not to say that these forms, it has to fit one of those forms. It can include a variety of forms. But for example, we've got downtown facade improvements, which I would say is the most popular form of targeted area. along with promoting multi-unit residential development. Another target area would be sustainable development opportunities through energy conservation and so on and so forth. So again, CIPs, they provide a range of financial incentives meant to encourage property owners and developers to undertake projects that are aligned with the plan's vision. And without a CIP, municipalities are prohibited from offering financial assistance to the private sector in any form. So through the Planning Act, the use of a CIP it basically allows an exception to the rule. It's important to note that a CIP for Thames Centre is listed as a long-term goal under the current corporate strategic plan. And in terms of financial implications, the cost to prepare a CIP by a consultant is estimated to be in the order of $20,000. The county has, however, offering 50% funding to a maximum of $10,000 through their economic development budget for 2023. In terms of making up the balance, the $10,000 balance, we do have funds that have been budgeted. We have sufficient space through our existing 2023 economic development consulting base budget. It's also important to note, Your Worship, that once a CIP is established, there are annual budget implications that will need to be considered, depending on the financial incentives that are offered by the municipality. In the past, the county has offered 25% funding towards municipal CIP grants. So that would be up to a maximum of $1,000 per project. So it's my recommendation, Your Worship, as outlined in my report, that my report be received for information. And then secondly, that I be directed to prepare and circulate a request for proposal to qualified consultants to undertake a CIP for the municipality. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bancroft? Deputy Mayor Smybury?
I'm happy to see this, actually. Yeah, I'm really happy. This is an important tool, and I think without the CIP, we could fall farther behind in terms of trying to attract, multi-residential or improve the downtown. Other municipalities have a CIP. They've used it as a tool, and they've seen some great success with that. So even though there is a budget or financial component to it, I think what we provide, we get much more out of it in terms of what the private business is doing. So again, I think this is good news. I'm excited about it. But I just want to make sure, though, through Director Bancroft, the CIP would be or would apply to the entire municipality and not just portions of the municipality.
Through Your Worship, at the end of the day, that's up to council. That's also up to whatever direction is offered by the consultant. But I would agree with you. It's much more worthwhile if it has broader implications in terms of applying municipally wide.
Good, thanks. Any other questions? Councillor Heeman?
Yes, I think that the example of environmentally friendly building practices is something that's a little bit unique, and it's a new use of this tool than what I've heard in the past. And I think that's something that could be used to great effect.
Thank you. Councillor Lockie?
It's just a general comment. So I think this is a great initiative, but it's also a big initiative. And I'm almost wondering, with the timing, if it's appropriate to do it now, maybe we should consider waiting until we have a CAO in place, because it will, the CAO should have a big integral part of the CIP.
Any thoughts on that matter? Deputy Mayor Smybury?
Yeah, if I could. I see some benefits in at least starting the groundwork to get the plan prepared. I would think it's going to probably be a couple of months, if not longer, in terms of that process. And I think really what the key piece would be is what we would need to dedicate funds for in the budget. And I'm really hopeful that we'll have a CIO in place by then when we have those budget deliberations.
Fingers crossed. Councillor Lucky.
Sorry, just for my, I don't even know I'm directing this question to you, but just for my own information. So are we approving the spend of $10,000 for the consultant, or are we just approving to put it out for tender?
This,
Through your worship, it's the latter point. So the funds are already set aside. They're approved in the budget. So staff is seeking direction to proceed with circulating a request for proposals to qualified consultants to get the ball rolling.
Thank you, Director.
okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, then. So then, again, I will ask council for a mover and a seconder on the recommended motion as outlined in report PDS -026-23 as appended to the agenda. Deputy Mayor Smybert, seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. So I have a little bit of an update on activities. So apart from the usual round of meetings of both Thames Centre Council and County Council and the various committees I sit on, I'd like to add that I and members of council had the pleasure of attending the recent Sports Wall of Fame induction ceremony to recognize the achievements of some pretty remarkable people. Soccer player Julia Benatti, World Transplant Games athlete and medalist Jillian, formerly DiBernardo Best, CFL football star Glenn Weir, baseball star Lefty Judd, rower Scott Matthews, and race car driver Ryan Litt. Thanks to the efforts of Director Steve McDonald and his staff, and to the work and attention to detail of Tammy Butt, the evening went off without a hitch. Special thanks also to those who introduced the athletes and to Ryan Spence, who, as always, did a great job of emceeing the event. After having this ceremony on hold since the COVID pandemic, it was nice to gather in person to officially induct these people to the wall of Thames Centre Wall of Fame. Then, postponed by rain, the official opening of Royal Field will now take place on May 25th. At this time, too, I'd like to extend our congratulations to Hemans on the occasion of their 60th anniversary. No small feat in business these days. And to our staff of firefighters and first responders who put on a well-attended in spite of some on and off rain. Showers Community Breakfast even called in some of the retired volunteers to help out. It was great to see the activities coming back after the pandemic. So just going back to some business, on May the 2nd, Deputy Mayor Smybert, former mayors Al Marr and Jim Maudsley accompanied me to Middlesex Day in Park Hill for a meeting and a chance to hear from an amazing young women's under 18 hockey star, Jocelyn Amos, along with presentations from the Osabo Bay Field CA, Blogline Smokers and Sylvan Alpacas, Honeyland Egg Services, and a very informative piece from Sheila Morrison of the Ailsa Craig Art Center. All was followed by a State of the Union address from our warden, Kathy Burkhart Jessen. I don't believe there's any unfinished business. Okay, no notices of motion. So on to new business. 11.1, support for the school bus stop armed cameras. 3 council resolutions appended to the council agenda from the municipality of South Huron, Howick Township, and the municipality of North Perth, urging the provincial government to 1, require all school buses to have a stop arm cameras installed and paid for by the province for the start of the 23-24 school year, and 2, underwrite the costs for the implementation and ongoing annual costs for administrative monetary penalties in small and rural municipalities. So at this time, I'd like to ask council for a mover and a seconder on the recommended motion as appended to the agenda under new business. Counselor Heeman, seconded by Counselor Crockett. Did you want to speak to the issue, Tom?
Yeah, I just think that this is an important initiative. We've seen great use in our speed radar signs, and they have the ability in future to be used for policing measures. But I think that our school bus drivers should be focused on the safety of their kids and not having to worry about foolish drivers making bad decisions. So I think this is a good step in improving community safety.
Counselor Crockett, comment?
Further to Tom's comment, I actually had a resident reach out a couple weeks ago, wondering whether something like this could happen or be put on school buses. She alluded to the fact that her son in grade 7 is a little bit embarrassed that she still has to get him off of the bus because he gets dropped off on the opposite side of the highway county road. And she doesn't trust the drivers to allow him to cross the road himself. So I think this is a great initiative and I'd really like to see it through.
Sad comment, isn't it? So may I have a mover and a seconder then for this particular motion? Oh, did I already? Okay, brain dead. Alrighty. Are we all in favor? Thank you very much. I'm gonna blame it on medication for allergies, okay? One excuse is as good as another. All right, so moving on to item number 12, bylaws. The recommended motion is that bylaws number 44-2023 through 47-2023, 49-2023, and 50-2023 be adopted as presented, and that bylaw 48-2023 be adopted as amended to include a holding provision to be removed once site plan approval is obtained. And I will note that there was a typographical error in the version of bylaw number 482023 that was published with the council agenda. That zoning bylaw amendment relates to the property at 5030 West Chesterbourne and should have included a holding provision that would be removed once site plan approval is obtained. The bylaw has now been amended and an updated copy circulated to members of the council. So I am now looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Lucky, seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? All right, motion carried. Thank you. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I will announce that we will be moving into closed session. So I am looking for a mover and a seconder to go into closed section, and the time is 6:42 p.m. pursuant to section 2392B of the Municipal Act, being personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees with respect to employee recruitment. Councillor Lockie and Councillor Crockett, all in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you to the directors. Yeah, we'll now take a short recess to give everybody an opportunity to do whatever. Thank you.